What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. I know it's been a super long time, no pun intended, since I've done a video here for the channel. But the aftermath from Atlantic City has passed. I was on vacation with my family the week after that, so I, was doing some family stuff. But now I'm back, and we're just going to be resuming everything normally. Real quick, before we get into our Tech Talk Tuesday, I just want to shout out the team. I want to shout out Graham Maxwell specifically for doing very well and getting second overall in the ARG Invitational in Atlantic City. And I also want to shout out Kevin, my teammate who just bubbled out of top 16. He got 18th overall with an X2 record, but he did really well, as well as all the other teammates, Brian, David, Nick, and for those that weren't there, Enrique, Giovanni. Shout out to the Counter Club. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for supporting, the channel here, the growth of the channel, and, being a part of my close-knit group of friends, as well as my testing partners and, teammates. So definitely want to shout you guys out. But, me personally, I didn't do too well, but that's a video for another, that's a topic for discussion for another video. We are coming at you from the Mobile Command Center today. And it's Tuesday, so we're going to be talking some tech. Now, I think this is the first time ever that I've done a Tech Talk Tuesday where I've spoken about a leader specifically. And the anniversary box that released to us at the end of June there introduced a lot of interesting cards into the meta that is going to support older archetypes, but also introduced, of course, the new Towa leader. Now, the reason I have Towa as the subject for discussion this week on Tech Talk Tuesday is because, in my opinion, she's just a really techie leader. And what I mean by that is you can play a lot of different options in a mono black strategy that allows for tech. The new 1-drop Supreme Kai that stops 2 drops from attacking is pretty techie. Minus Killy Zone is pretty techie. If you want to be cute and play Haru is a good tech option. The overall Mira that discards a card is a really good tech option. So I just feel like Towa specifically lends itself to being a techie leader, especially with the built-in Godstrike Beerus. We all know everybody's favorite tech card, Godstrike Beerus, is pretty much heavily represented in sideboards nowadays. Towa having that same effect built in on a leader skill is just insane. So what does she actually do? So on the front side, it's 10k leader power on the front side, activate main, auto burst 3. Then you can look at the top 5 cards for a Mira or a Fu, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and then you awaken when there's 10 cards in your warp, untap 1, draw 1. Pretty standard. And then when you awaken, her backside is activate main once per turn. You can choose 3 cards in your warp, send them to your drop, and then you can give one of your Mira battle cards critical. And then she also has the Godstrike Beards, which is activate battle. Once per turn, you can tap 1 energy and discard a card, and you can choose a key skill on one of your opponent's battle cards and negate it for the rest of the turn. Now, Towa has been doing pretty well as of late in the pro circuit. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Isaiah Herring did very well at the Columbus event over the weekend. I think he essentially went undefeated in Swiss with this leader. So it's definitely nice to see. Black specifically as an archetype got a lot of support with the anniversary box. So there's a lot of nice cards for, furthering overwhelm strategies and stuff like that. But out of the 3 main leaders, Towa, Demigra, and Mass Saiyan, directly getting support from the anniversary box, I do believe Towa, in my opinion, and I might get a lot of flack for this, I do think Towa is the lesser of the 3. Demigra, with the wormhole effect and just being able to get, 4 bodies on turn, on board in 1 turn is insane. And then Mass Saiyan, of course, with the addition to Kraken Space Time, having all of that crit double strike pressure. It just seems to me that Towa is a little lacking. Now, obviously, this leader gets a lot of flack because its lack of draw power, but that's where Time Regulator Vegeta comes into perspective. Now, yes, it's a $50 card and you need a playset, so Towa can be a pretty expensive deck. You're already running 4 Time Regulators, which is essential. Like, I don't think this deck can function without 4 Time Regulators, because Time Regulator on its own gives this leader a draw engine. This leader does not draw on a swing. It doesn't draw on the backside. It only draws when that one card when you awaken, and that's it. So Time Regulator is super important for this strategy. Other than that, if you're not playing Time Regulators, I mean, I'm very stubborn and I'm trying to make a build that does not include Time Regulator, but I have tested this deck with Time Regulator and without it, and not having it kind of hurts. So I do like Towa. I think she's very niche. She's very good if played properly, but I really don't think that she's going to move forward and be one of the more dominant decks in the format. I mean, right now, people are coming off of the lull of the ARG Invitational, and everybody's ramping up and gearing up for regional season. So there's kind of a little lull in between all of that where you kind of just play stuff for fun. And I think Towa can have a place in the meta. It does have an inherently good Victory Strike matchup because it can get rid of Path to Greatness pretty easily. But at the same time, if played around, the whole leader effect and all of the Mira stuff, you're playing a mono black strategy. So all you have to do is really just save your negates for Miras, and you kind of just overwhelm them because they're not going to keep up that much hand advantage with you. But, it really depends on who's playing it. I mean, I played against a Towa leader in Atlantic City in round, I think it was round 2. We were at table 6. Great guy, awesome player. But, I felt like I never was in danger of losing to that deck. And I was playing Skillless Goku, which is apparently a good matchup for Towa. So I really think it depends on who's playing the deck and what you're playing against. I think, if your locals or if your meta is just littered with Victory Strike and Height of Mastery, Towa might be the call. But I do think it can lose to decks that go wide really quickly. Like, I think Pan and Skillless Goku can give Towa a lot of headaches. But I think it's a great leader. I'm really happy that they made it because it's nice to finally have a Towa leader so you can interact with all the Mira stuff as far as like the Union Absorb and everything like that. But moving forward, I really don't, especially when Set 7 comes out, like I really don't see her getting that much more play. And not to mention, it's probably the second most expensive deck outside of decks that run Victory Strike, because you need 4 Time Regulators, you need 4 Mira Creator Absorbed, which is, it's like a $10 SR. So right there, it's $250. And then whatever else you decide to run, if you decide to play Demigra, if you decide to play, Scientist Foos, or whatever the case may be, the leader itself is $20. So it could be a pretty expensive deck for like a tier 1.5. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. I could be, talking out of my ass, so to speak. But for what I've seen so far, I think Towa is right where she needs to be. She's kind of like in that floating abyss of tier 1.5 decks, which moving forward with Set 7, I think if Bandai does decide to address something on the ban list right before Set 7 comes out, I think a lot of these tier 1.5 decks can make that jump into the tier 1. But it's going to be interesting to see. By all means, do not play this leader. She's fun. It's interesting to actually play the Mira stuff with the Union Absorb. But, if you don't have Time Regulators, you're going to have a tough time playing this deck. So just keep that in mind. Other than that, that's pretty much going to wrap it up here for our tech talk. There's not much else to say about her. She's a simple overwhelm strategy, and she filters through the overrun pile pretty efficiently and shuffle stuff back into the deck with Time Regulators so you can constantly have a play. The good thing about having Time Regulators, you can recycle your super combos, which is really important because, again, this deck doesn't really draw too much, so that's another way of drawing. But, with that being said, I hope they make a support card for Towa in the future, whether it's Set 7 or another power boost or something like that down the road, where they actually give her an inherent draw ability or something, or maybe a field spell that lets her draw. But it's going to be interesting to see what folds. I think a lot of people are hyped about Towa, and it's really nice to see other decks being played besides Height of Mastery Victory Strike variants. But I think once the competitiveness comes back into the fold, you're gonna see kind of Towa tail off a little bit. Again, I'm not taking anything away from those who have had success with the deck. I'm sure that they big brained their way to success. I believe there was a Towa the top 16 in Atlantic City, so I'm not taking anything away from those players. But just me personally, I don't like that this deck has to revolve around Time Regulator, or it's just unplayable. So if they come out with something in the future that helps it, fine. If not, oh well. But that's just going to wrap it up here for us here at No Counters, No Combos for our Tech Talk Tuesday this week. Thank you guys so much for the patience. I really do appreciate it. We are going to be defaulting back to a more consistent upload schedule. And if for those of you who are watching this video that have been enjoying our podcast series over on Podbean, the Four Corners podcast, thank you guys so much for all the support there. We're going to have a very special guest this week. Aaron Anthony Abraham has been kind enough to join us for this week's segment on the Four Corners. So you guys have that to look forward to. And we're going to start firing up the Battle Chamber videos, deck profiles. We're just going to get right back into the swing of things here now that we're back from Atlantic City. And we're going to be moving forward and playtesting further with the team and all these other new cards and stuff like that. So again, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the Towa leader. Is she your cup of tea? Is she not? And let me know if there's anything that you guys think will come out in the future that will inherently help her have a better draw engine. But with that being said, we're going to get on out of here. Thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Be there or be squared.